Here we are at Peter Pan Park in Emporia, Kansas. Peter Pan got a couple of teeth in the last few weeks. We're going to take you through some of the new pin positions and new tee pads. This is a new tee pad on hole 1. It's about 70 or 80 feet straight to the right of the old tee pad. Right now there is just a straight hyzer over the top of the softball field, but there's going to be a tree that's going to cut that out. So most likely the throws are going to have to be a roller or a flick off the box. This is down at the green area, taking a look at from the basket. And behind this basket is hole 2's fairway to give you a little bit of perspective here. So it's not a hard green. There's lots of space on all sides. There is one tree to guard, but not much. Hole 2 is just a straight shot, pretty much is the most direct route. This is wide left. As you can see the basket right there. Some people will choose to take a hyzer right off of the box, but you bring all of those bushes into play that run down this entire right side of the fairway that you can see off screen right there. Basically, all you do on this hole is just really avoid those bushes, and you can get up and down from just about anywhere. You know, the more distance you can get off of the tee, the better. Again, this is a pretty open green. There is a tree about 25 or 30 feet short, but if you avoid that, it's a very open green. We have a new pin position here on hole 3. It's about 100 feet to the left of where the pad is and a little bit further up. If that disc would have skipped, it would have gone right towards the basket. This hole plays quite a bit different. It's only about 40 feet different in length. However, the short pin position is playing downhill on a fast green, whereas this is playing uphill at the end on a slow green. So you really got to put a little bit extra on there. That was a felon that I threw, and it did not jump up the hill. So there is a guardian set of bushes that you need to get around, as well as some trees. But it actually opens the hole up for a righty skip shot. Hole 4 has been moved to the long position, long right. If you've played out here at all, you've played this position. I kind of turn this drive over. If you can clear those bushes, those yellow bushes in that tree, then you're in a great position. That's not the shot I was aiming for, but it worked out. If you can see the orange pin position that is there in shot, you pretty much have to get there to have a look at the long pin. It is over to the right, about 200 and something feet from where that short pin position is. So you're going to need a long straight shot off the box in order to have a look. So I'm a little bit deeper than that short pin position and about 100 feet to the right of it, and it leaves a pretty open upshot. There is OB on all sides of this green. Standing here is on the OB line on the south side, I believe, or the left-hand side of the basket. So there is OB on all sides. However, it doesn't pinch in a ton. It just gives you something to think about. That big tree is about 30 feet short, so that's the tree you want to beat. Hole 5, we have an absolutely new pin position. It's about 100 feet behind and to the right of the short pin or the short tee position. You have to be aggressive if you want to get a birdie on this hole. It is a small gap, and you have OB running the whole right side. This is a felon again, and I'm just playing out to the open. However, that leaves me about 90 feet or so. So if you are not going to be aggressive and attempt to get a 2, then there's no way you're going to accidentally get there. You have to make up your mind as to either be conservative or aggressive. I really like this new tee pad. The basket's in the same spot in all of the big oak trees, but you're going to have to win this hole on the drive. Hole 6, it appears the same off the box. And right up until where the disc lands, it is the same. However, the pin has been moved deep and into 2 guardian cypress trees that are right there. If you don't drive to get pretty much to the circle, you're not going to have a putt, which it really rewards the aggressive drive on this hole. I think about the only way you can get there is with a roller or a really strong forehand shot. You're going uphill with a low ceiling of trees on the drive, and you have many branches hanging around the basket, so you're going to have to get all the way there to have a putt. Otherwise, it's going to be a layup and take your par. Hole 7 is the traditional hole 7, wide open, 362 feet. What I generally try to do is to throw a hyzer that lands just inside of that road and skips over. There are 3 big trees within about 7 or 8 feet of the basket each. So if you get stymied behind one of those trees, they are wider than the basket. So you want to hope that you land so that you're looking at a basket in between one of those gaps. This is hole 8. It is a new tee pad and a new basket, an entirely new hole. What I'm attempting to do here is to throw a skip shot around to the right to get back to the middle of the fairway. There is a gap right down the middle, and it will get you probably 100 extra feet if you were to hit it clean. However, for me, I have not been able to hit it clean yet, so I'm just laying myself up about 200 feet back from the pin. It's a new pin as well, which is about 80 feet to the right of the long pin position. If you've played this hole before, it's over by the road, and there is a little tunnel going down to this basket. So if you are not lined up on that tunnel, you're going to have to carve something down. The basket sits about 50 feet or so short of hole 9's tee pad, if that can give you some perspective on where the new basket is. There are some guardian trees here. If you are coming in from a different angle, if you are lined up straight with the tee pad, the route to the basket is pretty wide open. It's just a matter of managing the distance and staying center cut. Hole 9 is the traditional hole 9 in the position on the little island. It is not that island is not playing OB. It's just a couple of sidewalks around to give it some definition around. There is that straight shot I took, or a big flick out to the left over the top of Monkey Island. It's a relatively short hole, 225 feet. The green is a little bit slippery, so if you are coming in there on the straight shot with any sort of speed, you will skip right towards the back. For instance, this is a compass that I threw, and it landed about 20 feet short and slid to about 25 feet long or so. There is lots of stuff protecting this basket, so you want to stay on the big gaps in order to have a putt. This is a hole that you must get pretty much. There's going to be a lot of birdies on that hole, a lot of twos. You want to try to get it. Hole 10 is always a tough hole for me out at Peter Pan. I go with the backhand shot here to try to sit on the edge of the green. There is a OB Creek running the entire left side. There is an OB Street running the entire right side, and there is a Mando that you have to stay left of right off the box. A lot of people like to throw the flick, which is a great option as well. That tree and the little pipe is about 25 feet from the basket. So if you are able to stay in bounds right there, you are putting away from the danger, which is what I try to do. I managed to stay in bounds right there. Hole 11, you can see the basket out on the peninsula there. A lot of people will throw a flick right over the corner of the water. I throw just a straight harp shot to leave myself with a long jump putt to try to get to the peninsula. This is not a hole that you can be terribly aggressive at unless you go with the skip shot off the water, which would then jump to about where the camera is right now over by this no swimming sign. That's about the only way that you're going to consistently get a deuce. However, most of that time you're going to leave yourself with 50, 60 foot putt, so it's not even a gimme if you do that. If you were to go OB off your drive, you go to a temporary tee pad, a drop zone at the end of that peninsula. Hole 12 is a new basket. It is across the pond, across the corner of the pond from the tee box. So instead of throwing a fast shot down to that set of trees, what I'm trying to do is throw a placement shot to the edge here. So the new hole is 450. I was throwing that. That's probably about 300. I was trying to get right to that tree, and it leaves you with an open shot. Now you are trying to split two guardian trees as well as the no swimming sign right there. The basket is about 60 feet onto the grass, so there's plenty of room to land, but it's not something that you want to, if you go long on that drive, you put yourself in a very precarious position where you're going to have to hit a tiny gap, perhaps throw a forehand roller or some sort of high ante. You cannot go deep on this drive if you want an easy upshot. This is the traditional hole 13 for the righty backhanded player. It is simply that you throw something stable out right down the middle and let it hyzer over. There is a sewer grate that's about 50 feet from the basket. That's kind of my aim spot. I try to land there and skip over towards the basket. As long as you don't go short, you're going to have a wide open putt. All of those trees down the left-hand side are very grabby, and if you get in there, you're not going to have a putt out. You're just going to have to lay up. This is traditional hole 14. It is a downhill 393-foot hole, so it is reachable. However, the curve of the disc that you're going to have to put, as well as the OB running the entire right-hand side, most people end up flaring out to the left on this hole, and that's the safe spot to be so that you can get up and down at that point. The trees on the right, very thick, and there's OB just on the other side of those trees going into the neighbor's yard there. So you definitely want to stay away from that. This is an absolutely bonus birdie. You need a giant forehand or a really controlled turnover shot to be able to get there. Hole 15 is the long hole out here. It's just over 500 feet. And if you haven't played out here in the last year or so, you will notice a big change. All of those trees on the right side used to run all the way down. However, due to some erosion issues, they have pulled all of the trees off of the bank. And you can see the little planters that are right there by where I'm standing. There are going to be about 20 or 25 trees that have been planted that are held up like that as they take root. And so here in a couple of years, there's going to be a lot of trees back there in the middle of the fairway. But as it stands right now, the entire right side falls open to this river on about the second half of the fairway. The OB line will be at the top of this bank, so it'll be very easy to go flying into there. In order to get the distance, a lot of people are going to be throwing turnover shots that get stable, which definitely pulls you into that river. Hole 16 is another shorty, 272 feet downhill. What I try to do is a little backhand that's going to slide down that slope. A lot of people will throw a flick just under that cedar tree to the left and get a skip down the hill. That entire right side is going to be OB. I don't like throwing that flick because I generally come up short and there is a false corner on the edge there. You think you made it, but the corner that you see is not the corner that you have to beat. All of those trees on the other side of me right there, there will be an OB line at the bottom of those trees, so that the top bank is OB. So all of that down there in the creek is out of bounds, and the green is sloping, and it is fast sloping towards all of that out of bounds there. Getting late in the round here, you want to get the twos and avoid those fours. So that's a little hole that can get you. Hole 17 is a pretty straightforward shot, 280 feet. The big tree on the right is really the one thing that you have to avoid on your drive. And this green slopes away drastically from the basket, so you want to stay pin high or to the left where you can have a downhill putt. As you start going to the right, it will funnel and funnel. So really all you have to do is carry about 240 feet and you can slide up to the basket. Hole 18 is in its traditional long position. You basically throw something that's going to turn over but get flat, and you're going to have to challenge one of the gaps down there. There's 5 or 6 different gaps you can do. And then once you get to the short basket, it goes downhill to the long basket. There is OB long. All of these trees are hanging over the bank there. There will be an OB line painted at the top. And there are a couple of guardian trees just to make you think about your putt. Basically, once you crest that hill on 18, you're going down the whole way. So this is the new Peter Pan. It'll jump up and bite you if you're not paying attention. I would say that it's probably about 4 strokes harder than it has been in years past. So come on out. And this is what we're going to be playing at the Glass Blown Open.